What drew you to this particular project?
One of the actors dropped out, so I got a phone call saying, "Are you interested in this thing?" And I said, "Send me the script." And I said, "When does it shoot?" And they said, "Next Tuesday." So I immediately knew my wife's a director, and I was like, "Wow, they need an actor. They need an answer now." So I read it, and I was like, "Is this guy an atheist or a Buddhist? What's going on with this guy?" And I was kind of fascinated. I read it again, then I spoke to Larry, and I knew so my decision was made very quickly. It was, you know, and it was just a gut. I didn't have time to ponder it too quickly, you know. It was just a gut feeling, and I just went with it.
What's the biggest difference for you going from working on a major feature film or a big budget TV show to doing this kind of grueling, low budget guerrilla indie filmmaking?
This is what I've always been looking for, this kind of filmmaking. I mean, not everything about it, obviously, but I've always wanted to, I want to get into the indies, you know. I want to get into low budget indie films. I want to, you know, I really enjoy working with, I'm one of the old guys on set. I can't believe that. I go, oh, I am the old guy. So it's great having that energy around you. I really like that. You know, I don't need a trailer, you know. I don't need, you know, warmth would be nice now and again. But besides that, I don't really need, I don't need too much, you know. I don't need to have a fancy anything, you know. And so in that respect, I wanted this, you know, and I've always wanted the challenge, you know, of doing independent films. I think I saw something recently that was made 500,000. It was actually Sean Durkin who did that very beautiful short film called Mary Last Scene, and then he went on to do that film Mary, all the M's, and it was brilliant. I was like, wow, you can make that for 500,000. That's phenomenal, you know. So with the right talent and the right writer and the people behind it, you know, it's not about. I want to do good and interesting work.
I think you're talking about the difference between being an artist and being a celebrity.
I would never, and look, I enjoy making a living as what I do, but it wasn't the reason I came into the business. You know, I came into the business and I just so happened to get a job that paid, you know, a successful TV show. But prior to that, I was making no money and doing theatre for nothing, and, you know, and I would have done any, you know, project that I thought was interesting. And this one, it just so happened it came up, and I had to make a decision very quickly. And sometimes these things you think, well, that was fortunate, and I did it, and I'm really looking forward to the results.
How was it working with Stephen Lang?
It was my first couple of days, and it was a lot of work, a lot of lines that I thought were voiceover that we were filming, so I was a little bit unprepared. But, you know, in this environment, we just went over it again and again and again and again. As opposed to on television, it would be, we wouldn't have had that time, you know. So there was a lot of time given to us by the director, and with Stephen, there was an immediate, we wanted to get this done, and he was very, you could tell he was very committed to it, which you know, I loved him, you know. I've seen his work, and I've been a big fan of his, and I totally admire him as an actor, and so, you know, I'm hoping we did a good job, you know, but certainly when he was doing his stuff, I was there, and when I was doing mine, I felt he was completely there for me, so.
I think a lot of fans of fantasy television will be excited to see the guy from Terra Nova with Desmond from Lost.
Right. Squaring off. That's true. I never thought of that. We have that market. I don't know if they're the right market for this film, but they might pick it up.
But let me ask you about that then. But, you know, thinking about the Lost audience and the Lost fan base, how do you feel about the fact that you are going to draw some of those folks into seeing their first film noir piece, to see a real piece of very edgy, non-mainstream cinema?
You know, I never thought about that. That's a good question. I think the Lost audience had a very broad appeal. You know, there's a lot of, when I speak to some people about, it's not just your average sci-fi fan that watches Lost. There was a lot of therapists and psychologists, and, you know, talking to me about the themes that were running through the show, and I was like, yeah, that's right. Hey, listen, you know, if I can, you know, broaden anyone's horizons, that's great. I don't think of it that way. You know, I just do what I do, and you know, if they're interested, great.
What about this character? I mean, you talked about how he was a an everyman, but an actual line of your dialogue is duct taped to a chair, nailed through my hand, 2 dead bodies on the floor, and I still wanted to believe her. That's one of my favorite lines in the text. That goes a bit beyond the everyman.
You think?
Oh, I do.
Oh, I don't. I get that completely. I get that completely. He's a complete romantic, you know, and he's like, you know, he's a, you know, I think when you're in love and when you're infatuated, you still think, it's part of you that thinks, I can't believe that you don't feel something from, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. So do you believe that that capacity for that kind of love is an everyman quality, or is that a special quality to certain men, like this character?
Ooh. I have to assume, because that I assume that I am pretty average. So I have to assume that, yes, most men they're either deluded or romantic in that way, but they would believe that if someone has put you in that situation, that, okay, you're a chump, but there's still, I totally buy that there's a connection, and you think, I totally buy that men would go, you sure there's something, I'm feeling it, how come you're not feeling it? There must be something.
Well, absolutely, I really do look forward to seeing a finished project, and I hope you enjoy the shoot.
Thank you very much.